Through what lenses do anthropologists gain a comprehensive view of human cultures? As an academic discipline within the United States, anthropology has traditionally been defined as a four-field discipline. Broadly speaking, the four-field approach can be equated with a holistic approach. That is to say, we are interested in a broad analysis looking at human culture from as many directions as possible. In anthropology, kinship systems can be considered as important as political systems. The four-field approach also embodies an interest in studying human cultures throughout time. This semester, we will largely focus on living cultures, but some anthropologists study past cultures and the origins of human beings themselves. The four traditional fields include physical anthropology, archaeology, linguistic anthropology, and cultural anthropology. Physical anthropology, sometimes called biological anthropology, is the study of humans from a biological perspective. There is particular emphasis on their evolution and adaptation to environments. Physical anthropology necessarily involves a great deal of biology. The origins of physical anthropology, as a part of anthropology, have to do with studying modern human variability. As Europeans explored the globe, they noticed physical differences in local populations. Physical anthropology originated as an effort to chart and explain these differences. For example, today we can explain the distribution of skin tone by linking relationships between UV exposure and the body's need for vitamin C. Higher levels of melanin in the skin, i.e. dark skin tones, help to protect the body from excessive UV exposure. Exposure to UV also triggers the production of vitamin D in the human body. Vitamin D is a necessary substance for healthy growth and development. Just as too little vitamin D can result in disease and deformation of the skeleton, too much UV can be deadly. The result is a balance between skin color and exposure to UV light. Since its origins, physical anthropology has diversified into several subfields. Paleoanthropology is one of the most prominent of these fields. Paleoanthropologists study the evolution origins of humans. This study is primarily carried out by studying the fossil record of human ancestors. The study is difficult and involves detailed work. Thanks to the dedication of physical anthropologists, we now have thousands of specimens that help chart the development of the human species. Modern paleoanthropology has begun to move beyond the study of fossils to incorporate genetic analysis. This analysis includes modern living populations. Also, in rare instances, physical anthropology involves the analysis of still surviving genetic materials from our ancestors. Primatology is also a significant part of modern physical anthropology. Primatology is the study of living primates, including New and Old World monkey species, as well as the great apes. The study of primates within anthropology is part of an effort to better understand ourselves. Human beings are classified as primates. We are more biologically akin to other primates than any other mammals. Thus, the study of our fellow primates can help us understand both modern humans and the evolution of our species. Physical anthropology includes other specializations, such as forensic anthropology, and overlaps with medical anthropology. Archaeology is the study of human cultures by the materials that they leave behind. Most archaeologists study the distant past, studying cultures either without writing or with limited historic records. In order to do this, archaeologists must learn to read the material record. This is composed of all physical objects left behind by people. These objects include their tools, their homes, and even more ethereal traces such as campfires and food remains. Using these traces, archaeologists attempt to reconstruct the culture of the people that left them. Early archaeologists focused their attention on large monuments. For example, they studied monuments such as the ancient Egyptian pyramids or the monuments of ancient Maya kingdoms. While these studies provided important information, archaeologists realized they were focusing on a narrow vision of cultural relief. Modern archaeology attempts to focus equally on the grandiose monuments of the elites and the simple homes of commoners. Such a balanced approach can provide us with a more accurate view of the total culture. Archaeology does not focus exclusively on the distant past. As a discipline, archaeology attempts to understand people and their culture through what they leave behind. Thus, when something has been abandoned, it is possible for archaeological analysis to be done. The most famous example of contemporary archaeology is the Garbage Project, directed by William Rathje in Tucson, Arizona. The Garbage Project carried out excavations in Tucson landfills to gain a better understanding of contemporary city residents. Linguistic anthropology is the study of human language and how it affects our culture and our worldview. Language is a complex system of communication. We assign meaning to arbitrary sounds. We build grammatical structures so that we can have a meaningful communication. Human language is flexible and innovative. We can describe and communicate information about experiences that we've never had before. We can even use language to describe things that have never existed. Think of the literary genres of fantasy and science fiction. We can further adapt our languages to new circumstances. Emerging technologies result in new vocabularies and ideas. Texting, Skyping, Googling, etc. are good examples of these. The languages we speak also affect how we live the world around us. When American students learn a European foreign language, one of the first words they often learn is the verb to be. Yet many languages do not have a verb that is equivalent to be. Try to go a whole day without using forms of to be. This means not saying I am, she is, they are, etc. It forces a very different perspective of the world. The way other people use languages also affects our perception of the world. For example, a person's accent often affects the way we think of them. In the United States, a British accent is often associated with intelligence, while an Appalachian accent is associated with a lack thereof, despite any actual judge of the speaker's intelligence. Linguistic anthropology has three main subfields. Descriptive linguistics, dedicated to documenting and recording languages. Many languages that are spoken or have been spoken around the world do not have a written form. Without a written form or recording of native speakers, these languages are in danger of being lost. Descriptive linguistics are dedicated to preserving linguistic diversity before it is lost. Historic linguistics. The subfield focuses on studying how languages have changed. Languages can change substantially over time as different dialects rise or fall in prominence, or as simple use patterns change. Occasionally, different language dialects become so different that new languages form. Historic linguistics attempts to reconstruct the history and processes of change within languages. Sociolinguistics. This final field focuses on the interaction between language and society, that is, how our language affects our society, and how our society affects our language. As a crude example, there are times when it's not appropriate to use curse words. Other times, such words are considered a mark of status. Sociolinguistics examines the varying use of language and what it can tell us about our culture. Cultural anthropology. This is the study of living cultures, the everyday lives of people in their communities, including their behaviors, beliefs, and institutions. As we have discussed, the principal research method of cultural anthropologists involves ethnographic fieldwork and participant observation. This kind of fieldwork is considered essential to anthropology. To understand another culture, we must not simply look at it from a distance, but live among its people and partake in the activities of their daily lives. Ethnography alone can be thought of as descriptive cultural anthropology. Each individual ethnography describes a group of people or a culture studied by an anthropologist. Cultural anthropologists also engage in ethnology. Ethnology looks beyond the specific, beyond the descriptive ethnography. Ethnology seeks to compare cultures to better understand general patterns of human behavior. It is through ethnology that anthropologists have seen that despite surface differences observed in ethnography, human cultures have more in common than they have differences. Cultural anthropology has traditionally focused on small-scale societies in remote regions of the planet. Now, it increasingly focuses on the study of urban and integrated communities. This is due in part to a growing need to understand globalization.